Welcome to the Bucket Plan on Demand, a podcast for financial advisors based on the best-selling book and process that simplifies financial planning. Hear from skilled industry professionals and special guests each episode that will help perfect your approach with clients and your results.
I'm excited to have these two individuals on here, and I'll introduce them in a minute, but I want to give you a little bit of context of they have greatly shaped my career. They've greatly shaped how we do business, both of them. And to give you a little bit of statistics, at JL Smith, 40% plus of our business actually comes from referrals on an annual basis, which is a big number. We were also looking at the closing statistics yesterday of our advisors at the firm. When a referral gets referred to us and we meet with them, our close probability is 87%, which is a very, very big number. And I'm going back a year and a half, and when I look at that number, all of our advisors that actually got referral are 87%. So that's huge. And the one thing that we're noticing is like when we get referrals, there's a lot higher close percentage. So I'm very excited to have these guests on today for the coffee break. First and foremost, Bill Cates works with financial advisors to speed up their growth without increasing their marketing budget through his relationship marketing system. Bill is the author of 4 best-selling books: Get More Referrals Now, Beyond Referrals, Radical Relevance, and The Language of Referrals. He is the founder of the Cates Academy for Relationship Marketing and is the host of the acclaimed Top Advisor podcast, now ranked in the top 5% of podcasts in the world. So that's an amazing accomplishment. And again, I've been through his program also. Then we have no other than the Italian stallion, John DelGreco, is a founding partner of C2P, president of the DelGreco Tax and Insurance Group, years of experience as an accomplished insurance advisor, a pioneer in the independent advisory space. John has served more than 2,500 clients and ranked 7th out of 30,000 agents with American Equity, a member of MDRT, a mentor here at C2P on our Mentor Connect platform. He is passionate about mentoring fellow advisors and helping them grow through product belief and enthusiastic communication. And I'm very happy to have both of you here on the coffee break. You've both helped my career greatly, especially you, John, in the beginning, when I was starting the business, the referrals and learning how you do things. And then, Bill, I've been through your program. You've helped me fine-tune a lot of things on the building block that I've learned from John. So to kick us off, share with me, what does that great referral look like? When I look at each of you, what does that look like in an advisor's firm? What would you say?
John, age before beauty. Go.
I would say it's so I have a process with my referral. I have a referral process, and at the end of my process, when people were referred to me from my clients, we send that client we send a referral, a letter introducing me from the person that referred me to them. And when they get that letter, then it's followed up with a phone call from me. So that when you have the help of the referrer introducing you to the person they referred you to, it makes that phone call so much easier. There's so much more acceptance of the call. And a lot of times what I hear when I do call them, they've already talked to the person that referred me to them. And so it just makes it so much easier. So being introduced, I guess the short answer would be being introduced to that referrer from the person makes it so much easier and that much more powerful.
Absolutely. Bill, how about you?
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that because while we use the word referrals a lot, I do believe that when we're talking to prospects, clients, centers of influence, anyone who connect us, we should be using the word introductions because we need that these days, right? There was a time when we could call someone up, they'd pick up the phone and, we could talk to them, but that's just not anymore. So let's use the word that represents what we need. So to answer the question directly, yeah, great referral is when we've actually been connected. We've been introduced to that person in some form. There's lots of ways to do it. John's letter way, I've kind of an email way to do it. In person is great. So that's one thing. The other thing is, of course, they're a match for the work we do. My philosophy is if they're not right for our business, if they don't allow us to do the work we want to do, whatever that looks like for us, then we're not right for them. And we got to create win-win situations. So I think we always want to be in a qualifying mode. Now that's going to range what it looks like from advisor to advisor, but so a perfect referral is what you asked, is introduced, connected to someone that stands a pretty good chance of being in our wheelhouse of what we want to do.
No, that's great. But Bill, let's continue with you. You've helped a lot of advisors over the year through your referral system. What have you seen kind of advisors maybe struggle with, or the misconceptions when they're asking about referrals? What are some prominent ones of maybe the head trash we tell ourselves as advisors, right?
Oh yeah, we're human, so we all have it. Well, I'll tell you one misconception is that a lot of folks think, if I just serve the heck out of my clients, if I just do a great job and form great relationships, I'll get all the referrals I need. And there's some truth to that. You need to become referable. The better you serve, the better the connections you make you want to connect from a value perspective. You always have to be bringing value. You have to always remain relevant in their life from a value standpoint. And then building that quote unquote business friendship needs to be there as well. So if you're doing that, you should be getting some unsolicited referrals. That's a barometer of good relationships. And so the question is, the thought is, if you're getting enough of those and they're the right kind, then that's great. The challenge is a lot of folks, for some, it's a quantity issue. For others, it's a quality issue, or a little bit of both. The rest of the answer is it's fears. Yeah. And look, I know the fears feel real, and I get it. You don't want to feel pushy. You don't want to feel needy. You don't want to look like the creepy referral guy. When people come to me for coaching, I get the three. I don't want to look like the creepy, cheesy, or sleazy referral guy. It's like the Disney characters, right? And so the good news is there's ways to do this. There's ways to be proactive that remove all those unnecessary fears around that. So the first thing we talk about when I coach is what's going on there? What's your relationship to the referral introduction process? What experience have you had in the past? We got to make sure that mindset is in the right place.
Yeah. I think one of the things I've heard advisors say too is like, I don't want to be looking like I'm desperate.
Yes.
But there's a way to take your language that I've learned from Bill and John. You don't look desperate. I mean, one of the things is like, don't keep me a secret, right? Bill, I got that directly from you. And I've said that so many times over, and it's a lot easier conversation. So one of the things to work on is just, your language and how you approach these things. Instead of saying, hey, I want referrals and I want them now. That's not how it works. But John, I've known you for a very, very long time, and referrals have been such an integral part of the long-term growth of your business. Kind of share with that how that has evolved over the years. How's it currently working now? And then I know you got the next generation underneath you with your boys. Share with us what that looks like.
I think for me, it came out of that I didn't want to spend the money for marketing. I didn't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars in seminars and golf meetings. And I wanted the ability to put my energy and efforts in the things that I do well and create a process that would make people referable. And I think it's been, I know for certain C2P has been around, I think, 13 years. And prior to that, I haven't done a workshop, a seminar in every bit of 15 years. And it was something that I wanted to create, to have the ability to meet my people in that fashion. And something I wanted to say that I think really is important I think you gotta expect referrals. So many of us, I think, go into that process, and I don't think you believe in yourself that you deserve referrals, and it comes across. When you go in there thinking and knowing that you've done a wonderful job for them, I expect them to give me the referrals. And the process that I have when I close a piece of business and deliver it, when I'm done, I say to them, was I different than anybody else that you've done business with in the past? And because there was a track record of me doing certain things from the day I met them until the piece of business that I've got came to me in a deliverable, and they say yes. And then right after that, I don't ask for referrals. I say to them, in the next few days, you're going to get a referral kit from me that's going to give you the ability to help the people that mean so much to you to have the same experience that you've had. So it's an expectation, and it's a confidence thing that I feel that drives a lot of those referrals to me, and it's worked wonderfully over these past 15, 18 years.
Yeah. And John, a lot of what we're hearing you saying is you're using that high touch method, right? You're touching those people throughout the relationship, whether it be a phone call, an email, reaching out. When they place that business with you, you're calling them all excited saying, hey, your business just got placed, it's good to go. Or you have the team doing it, but it's that high touch method where you can say, hey, was I different than other people you've done business with before? I think that's a key line that we all need to integrate into our practice, is like, was I different than anyone else you've done business before? But you have to live up to that expectation, right? You have to put things kind of in front of those prospects that come clients to make them feel like you were different. So ask yourselves like, hey, how can I get more referrals? How can you be different than everyone else out there? Now, Bill, with advisors that you're working with, what are some of the behaviors or habits or things like myself that I could naturally generate referrals with? And I don't sound too salesy or pushy. I know the one, hey, don't keep me a secret, and I use that all the time. But what are some other things that you would say?
Yeah. Before I answer that, I just want to support what John just said. This attitude of expectation. I talk about this as well. And we know that going into any situation, expecting a certain outcome increases the chances of that outcome happening. Now, we don't want to say, at least I don't want to say to my clients, I expect you to introduce me. That's pretty aggressive. It's an earned right. For me, it's confident awareness, meaning we believe our value is worth sharing, right? All of this has to come from that. This is not the old methodology, I get paid in 2 ways and I'm trying to build my business, please help me. This is, you believe your value is worth sharing. It's paying it forward. So it's got to come from that position. So confident awareness, and by awareness, meaning pay attention to other people in your clients' lives. So sometimes you can ask for a very specific introduction. I also like what John does with having a kit. Some people are happy to introduce us directly to a friend, family member, colleague, work with so-and-so, you should not work with them, but you should talk to them. You should know about them. Others need a little interim step, a tool of some sort, a packet of information, a video to send, a quiz or an assessment. So having a little tool that our clients can use to introduce us to others. That's why some advisors have a book, right? You all know about that. So I just want to support that. Yeah. So what you're talking about here with Don't Keep Me a Secret is promoting or encouraging. It's not the same as asking, but it really does have its place and can produce some nice results. So a couple for you. When you meet someone through a referral and introduction, celebrate that, acknowledge that. You can't say too much about it yet, but you can just say, hey, my guess is you feel a little more comfortable because George recommended it. Yeah. And that's the way this business works. People see the value in the work we do and they introduce it to others, and good, let's get started, right? Don't keep me a secret. Or kind of a similar phrase to that is share the experience. It all boils down to this phrase, and that is, I'm never too busy to see if I can be a resource for other people you care about. Never too busy to see. That's the qualifier I mentioned a little earlier, right? never too busy to see if I can be a resource. And we're not asking for people to tell their friends and colleagues and family members they should work with us. That's too big a leap sometimes, and it may not be appropriate, but they should know about us. They should be aware of our process. They should be aware of the questions we ask. They should be aware of the things that we teach and educate, et cetera. They should at least have that conversation. So we're making it about that, not just, go work with her or go work with him. That's sometimes too much, too aggressive, and people may balk around that, but they should at least talk to us, right? So that's planting seeds, promoting, encouraging is definitely one way, something that we can do on a pretty regular basis without hurting a relationship.
Yeah. This has been a great conversation so far, especially with some of these one-liners we're getting from it, and also having the confidence and the clarity of like, hey, you've done such good work. We deserve these referrals. Having that confidence means a lot, right?
Yep.
So, John, I know you've had so many referrals over the years, and I'm sure you've heard this. I've referred everyone I know to you, John. What else do you want from me? How do you kind of work with those long-standing clients and maybe making them change their mind around that? What are some tips and tricks you would say if you run across that scenario?
You know what? What a great question, because it happened to me yesterday. I had clients that came in for an annual review that I'd met probably 6 or 7 years ago. And when I originally met them, I did send them out my referral kit. And I can remember, because I had the referral kit and I have like 6 spots for them to put names, address, the relationships, phone numbers. When they sent their sheet back in with the envelope I provided, they had turned it over and added more on the back. They gave me more than 6 referrals, right? So now they came in just 3 days ago. And after we were done sitting, I started doing this recently. I just started asking specific questions. Hey, Beth and Jim, in the past year, who of your friends have retired that I haven't got to talk to? And you can create many questions. So many times we say, who do you know? Well, when you ask them, who do they know? Nothing comes in their mind. When you ask them specifically, who has retired of your friends in the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, last year, since we've seen each other, then a name comes into their mind. And so I've been asking specific questions like that to the people that have already referred me, because I sent them out referral letters 6 years ago. And I haven't started doing this till just recently, asking specific questions for them to come up with names. And then I play off of that. What's their relationship to you? Where have they worked? What's their phone number, address? How can I get in contact with them? So asking specific questions that makes the mind think of a person instead of who do you know? I don't know anybody, has helped me with people that have already given me referrals they gave me 2 more. They gave me 2 more the other day. Yes. They've reached out already and called and came back to me and said they're willing and able to talk to you. Give them the call in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm learning so much just from having the conversation with the both of you. Bill, I've had the opportunity to read your book, Radical Relevance. And one thing I want to share with the audience here, you talk about a great concept, and I solely believe in it, which is like cutting through the noise. And when we cut through the noise, how does that redefined message help advisors become more referable?
Yeah, big topic. We could do a whole coffee or more on that. A couple of thoughts. First of all, the fastest way to become relevant to someone who doesn't know us is an introduction from someone they do know and trust, right? So we've got to be relevant to people or they won't take our call. They won't answer our email. We got to be relevant. So fastest way to relevance is introductions, referrals, et cetera. The thing about being relevant and cutting through the noise, two thoughts. One of the reasons I focus on what I call relationship marketing is because everyone is so deluged by, information and digital marketing. Digital marketing has made it so easy to broadcast our message, which is the problem because everybody's broadcasting a message. How do we stand out? One way to stand out is work through relationships. And I'm not saying, experiment with LinkedIn and other things and digital stuff, but that's one way to stand out. The other is just to be super narrowly focused on who you're trying to serve. I know this doesn't fit everybody, but I just got off a coaching call this morning with a gentleman who's working with attorneys. Now, I personally wouldn't work with attorneys. I find them very argumentative, but he loves it, and he's built a very successful business. And when we went to our value proposition exercise, man, he knows that world so well that what happens is everything he says, every question he asks, they see themselves in the key for relevant messaging is empathy. People need to kind of see themselves in the questions we ask, in the stories we talk, in the message we give. And because he knows that world so well, they see that immediately. And that's one of the best, most valuable and significant ways to stand out is to not try to be all things to all people and to really narrow your focus. And it makes it easier to get referrals when people narrow your focus. We could give the whole thing on that, but that's just a little bit about what I mean by radical relevance and bringing that to the practice.
Yeah, I think you said it well. I mean, there's really riches in niches is essentially what you're saying here. You become a professional at helping doctors or something like that. That's where you're going to get your referrals from.
Well, especially these days, as specialists, that's how you stand out. You have special knowledge. You serve your clients better because you know their world better. You anticipate problems better. Your messaging is more relevant. They know people like themselves. I'm working with one gentleman, John Landry, an advisor in Connecticut. And there's an employer near his home, about 10,000 employees there. He's already doing some work with them. He says, what if I just focused on these folks? And we talked through this. Does it make sense? Good niche, yeah. And he just started telling his clients that he's made a decision to really focus and working with a lot of folks like them, other employees of the firm, of that company. And just by announcing that, just by mentioning that to his clients, the referrals are starting to flow. They just kind of needed to know that. And he entered it into the conversation in a way, and they started thinking of, oh, you should know so-and-so. And they start the bird dog form and find people when they're thinking about retirement. And when there's a change to the benefits package, he knows that. And there's another reason to reach out to people. So sometimes just making the decision and letting your clients know you've made that decision, it can create a huge difference.
Yeah, that's great. Is there a certain average number of referrals per advisor that would be a good target per month, per year to know that you're doing a good job? And John and Bill, I'll let you speak to this. I can speak on my level. Is we have on our scorecard on a weekly basis, and obviously we have a vast firm of 10 plus financial advisors. Our goal is to get around 3 qualified referrals on a weekly basis to keep our business flowing. And the one thing there was qualified referrals. So we do fit calls with each of our referrals, making sure they're the right fit for the firm, that they're above the minimum, so on and so forth. So that's qualified referrals. But John or Bill, do you want to add to that? Should we be setting targets per month, per year to know that we're on the good track? Let's kind of start from the beginning for someone that's not really asking for referrals.
I don't put a number to it, Bryan. I think when I do the job that I do, before I send that referral kit out, and I go through certain language with them when they get the kit and what my expectations are, I trust that they're going to do and give me as many names as they can. And sometimes, as I said, I put 6 on that sheet. A lot of times it doesn't come back with 6 names on it. It comes with 3, 4, 2. And then sometimes I'm surprised where the sheet's turned over and I have 8, 9, 10, 11. But there's never, so that my thought process is not, am I going to get 1? Am I going to get 10? I trust in what I've created to be referable, that they'll give me and think of as many people as they can that fit my profile to send back that I can help.
Love it.
Yeah, I'll answer a little differently in the sense of, what should you expect per week for your practice? It's a really hard question to answer because there's just so many variables here. A lot of it has to do with the makeup of your clients, whether they came to you through referrals or not. We know that people who come into a practice through a referral introduction, 2.5 times more likely to give referral or an introduction. So that critical mass and momentum develops. If you have a client base of engineers versus salespeople or business owners, right? Personality is going to make a difference on what you might expect. I think it's nice to have a number, not in terms of per client, but in terms of what we're trying to achieve each week. Like you mentioned, 3 referrals or 3 qualified per week, because it comes from the principle of what you put your attention on grows stronger in your life. Keeping the score raises the score. So the key is when you have a little bit of a goal, an intention, you're going to pay attention to it, right? And you're gonna keep score, and therefore you may step into a conversation that around referrals or introductions that you wouldn't have stepped into otherwise, because you're holding yourself a little bit accountable to an expectation or a goal that you're trying to achieve. So I think that's always very helpful. Measure what you manage, keeping the score raises the score. So yeah, I'd say that's a good thing. Now, what is that number for you? I can't tell you. But I know you're not going to go from 0 to 60 in 1 week. So be realistic. I could also say real quick, if you're asking for introductions, and at least in the way I teach, I know, and there's a lot of ways to do this. John has a method a little different than mine. There's a lot of ways to make this work. There is no one way. If you're getting about 40%, 50% of your clients having this conversation and introducing to others, you're doing pretty well. Not everybody's going to do it. If you're batting 400, batting 500, you're doing very well. So that's just a little figure or barometer to think about as well around the actual asking.
Is there any key phrases or activities for obtaining referrals from employees of the same company, maybe AT&T or Boeing as an example, maybe regarding their 401ks? I'll speak to this and I'll turn it over to Bill or John. I know you've both been successful that route. Is we work with a lot of Cleveland Clinic employees and doctors. What we have done is we've become experts in that field. In fact, I've had some of those doctors on our podcast. In addition, I've held events specifically for Cleveland Clinic employees or events or dinners. That has gotten me a lot of referrals over the years. When it came to doctors, one of the things I would say to them is like, hey, Trevor, you know how I've been able to help you, and I know a lot about the Cleveland Clinic benefits. Do you think there is other doctors that you're near and dear to that could benefit from this knowledge? So long story short, I've just curtailed some of my language, and I've always known more to that. I know we're short on time here, but John or Bill, do you want to add another 15, 20 seconds to that?
Yeah, I mean, so working with folks inside a company, couple quick thoughts. This is where content marketing starts to play a role. We all know about content marketing. There's a lot of people out there trying to sell us systems on content marketing. But when we develop content that's specific to an employer, or employees in a company, I should say, that can be huge. So let me tell you, Jeremy Keel, I interviewed for my Top Advisor podcast, and he's in Milwaukee, and he did a blog post around the benefits package, the strengths, the weaknesses for Harley Davidson in Milwaukee. And man, the referral started flowing because his clients started using that content that he created and passing it around to others. That's what I mentioned earlier, that little tool, something can use to talk about us to others. Some people need that little interim step. So that's where content marketing, you demonstrate you understand their world through the content that you create. I'm working with a guy now who focuses on physicians, but all the content he's been creating has been generic. And so there's a little disconnect between what he's saying and wants to do and what he's creating. as I mentioned earlier, just letting your clients know that you've made that decision to focus on people like themselves, employees in that company. And they'll let you know when benefits package change. And I found some advisors that they're teaching the HR department about the benefits package because they've become so immersed and well known, and that's a differentiator that makes a difference, right? Some differentiators are so ho hum. Some of them really make a difference, and that's one of them that does.
That's great, Bill. And I think the major takeaway here is you don't get what you don't create. Start manifesting these referrals. Start
True.
asking for these referrals. We're grateful, Bill and John, to have you on the coffee break today. And again, you can get a hold of both of them on the Mentor Connect portal. Everybody have a blessed day. We'll be talking to you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Bucket Plan on Demand, brought to you by C2P, an organization whose purpose is to educate, train, grow, and support holistic financial advisors so families can achieve true prosperity. Subscribe today for the latest episodes and insights. Visit c2penterprises.com to learn how we can help support and enhance your advisory business. At the time of delivery and any subsequent publishing, information was deemed reliable but is subject to change by the time of listening or viewing. The contents of this piece include options and projections of C2P, are subject to change, and are for informational purposes only. The information provided in this presentation is not intended to be individual investment, tax, or legal advice.